The ice gleams under the bright lights of the Joe Louis Arena during the 1980 NHL All-Star Game. A 51-year-old man glides onto the ice, wearing number 9 for the Hartford Whalers. The crowd rises to their feet. They're watching history in the making. Gordie Howe, known as Mr. Hockey, is about to become the only player to compete in professional hockey across 5 decades. But to understand how Howe reached this incredible moment, we need to travel back to a small farm in Saskatchewan. Young Gordie, one of 9 children, spent his days working the fields and helping his family survive the Great Depression. Those long hours of physical labor weren't just chores. They were building the foundation of what would become one of hockey's most powerful players. In the 1940s, the Detroit Red Wings saw something special in young Howe. At just 18, he stepped onto NHL ice for the first time. What made him different wasn't just his size or strength. It was how he used them. How quickly showed that he could do it all. Score goals, make perfect passes, and if someone wanted to fight, he was more than ready. This complete package of skills would soon become known around the league as the Gordie Howe hat trick, scoring a goal, making an assist, and getting into a fight all in one game. But Howe wasn't just about brute force. Playing for the Red Wings, he developed a style that would allow him to last longer than anyone thought possible. He learned to protect himself, to see hits coming before they landed, and to make other players think twice about challenging him. This wasn't just about being tough. It was about being smart, about understanding how to stay healthy and strong in a sport that could wear down even the youngest players. These early years with Detroit weren't just the beginning of a career. They were the start of a legend. Howe was learning lessons that would help him play not just into his 30s or 40s, but all the way into his 50s. He was building more than a career. He was creating a blueprint for hockey longevity that players still study today. Behind Gordie Howe's incredible longevity was a body that seemed built for hockey and a commitment to staying in top shape that was years ahead of its time. While other players followed the standard training methods of their era, Howe had his own unique approach that kept him playing long after his peers had retired. One of Howe's most remarkable physical gifts was his ability to shoot the puck with both hands. Most hockey players are either right-handed or left-handed, but Howe could switch between the two naturally. This rare skill not only confused opponents, but also helped him avoid the wear and tear that comes from always shooting from the same side. What truly set Howe apart was his understanding of how to use his strength wisely. He wasn't just strong, he was smart about when and how to use that strength. In an era when players didn't think much about diet and exercise off the ice, Howe was different. He ate carefully, stayed active year-round, and never let himself get out of shape, even in the off-season. He would often work out with his arms on non-game days, something unusual for players in his time. His approach to fighting was just as clever. While Howe was known for his toughness, he didn't fight just to fight. He knew exactly when to drop the gloves and when to hold back. This saved his body from unnecessary damage and made other players respect him even more. They knew that if they started trouble, Howe could end it, but he didn't waste energy proving it every night. What's even more impressive was how Howe recovered from injuries. In a time before modern medical treatments, he developed his own ways to keep his body healthy. He would soak in hot and cold baths to help his muscles recover, and he knew exactly how much rest he needed between games. These might seem like basic things today, but in Howe's era, they were revolutionary. In the story of Gordie Howe's incredible longevity, one chapter stands out as truly special: the time he spent playing professional hockey with his sons, Mark and Marty. In 1973, when many thought Howe's career was over, he made one of the most remarkable comebacks in sports history. At 45 years old, he joined the Houston Aeros of the World Hockey Association, WHA, not just to keep playing, but to share the ice with his boys. The sight of father and sons wearing the same uniform was something hockey had never seen before. Mark and Marty weren't just Gordie's sons. They were his teammates, and together they created magic on the ice. For Gordie, this wasn't just about playing hockey anymore. It was about living every father's dream of playing alongside his children. Behind the scenes, Gordie's wife Colleen played a huge role in making this possible. Known as Mrs. Hockey, she managed Gordie's career with incredible skill. She understood what her husband needed to keep playing and made sure he had it. From handling business deals to ensuring he got proper rest between games, Colleen was the backbone of Gordie's extended career. The family connection gave Howe new energy. Playing with his sons wasn't just fun, it kept him young. He had to keep up with them in practice, and their presence pushed him to stay in top shape. The young players in the WHA couldn't believe what they were seeing. A man old enough to be their father, not just keeping up, but often outplaying them. While Gordie Howe's physical skills were incredible, it was his mental approach to hockey that truly set him apart. as he aged. As his body naturally slowed down, Howe's understanding of the game only got sharper. He showed everyone that hockey wasn't just about speed and strength. It was about outsmarting your opponents. As the years went by, Howe changed how he played. Where once he might have raced down the ice at full speed, he now learned to read the game better than anyone else. He knew where the puck was going before it got there. He could sense how a play would unfold before it happened. This wasn't just experience, it was hockey genius at work. Even in his late 40s and early 50s, Howe kept his reputation as someone you didn't mess with. Young players who grew up hearing stories about Mr. Hockey found out those stories were true. Howe didn't need to fight as much anymore. Just the way he carried himself on the ice was enough to earn respect. Players knew that if they took a cheap shot at the old man, they'd regret it. What made Howe's mental game so special was how he used his experience. He knew every trick in the book because he had written most of them. If a young player tried to show him up, Howe knew exactly how to handle it. He might not have been the fastest player anymore, but he was still one of the smartest. When Gordie Howe finally hung up his skates for good, he had set records that seemed impossible to break. He had played in 2,421 professional games, scored 1,071 goals, and helped create 1,518 assists. These weren't just numbers. They were proof that with the right approach, determination, and smarts, an athlete could push the boundaries of what people thought was possible. Today, when players make it past 40 in the NHL, people call it Gordie Howe territory. This isn't just a saying. It's a tribute to the man who showed everyone that age was just a number. Modern players now take better care of their bodies, think more about their diet, and train smarter, just like Howe did decades before it became common. What's really special about Howe's legacy isn't just how long he played, it's how well he played for so long. He wasn't just filling a roster spot in his final years. Even in his 50s, he could still contribute to his team's success. This taught everyone in hockey an important lesson. Don't count someone out just because of their age. The records Howe set are amazing, but they only tell part of the story. He changed how people think about athletes and aging. Before Howe, most players were considered old by their mid-30s. After him, players started believing they could play longer if they took care of themselves and adapted their game as they got older. Many of today's players who play into their 40s, like Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton, point to Howe as their inspiration. They learn from his example that if you stay smart, stay healthy, and love the game, you can keep playing a lot longer than most people think possible. Gordie Howe's greatest gift to hockey wasn't just his records or his legendary toughness. It was showing that with the right mix of physical preparation, family support, and mental strength, you can achieve things that others think are impossible. His story isn't just about hockey. It's about proving that age doesn't have to stop you from doing what you love.